Have you ever wished you could grow baskets of sweet, homegrown sweet potatoes right in your own backyard? Stick around because in this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to grow a huge harvest, even if you've never planted a sweet potato before. Welcome to Golden Hours Garden, where we help you turn your outdoor space into a thriving, productive garden that feeds your family and brings you joy. If you love learning about growing your own food, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tip. Now let's get your sweet potato patch started the right way. Sweet potatoes are one of the most rewarding crops you can grow, and there's a good reason so many gardeners dedicate space to them every single year. They are packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber, making them a nutrient powerhouse that can keep your family healthy all season long. Unlike many vegetables, sweet potatoes actually get sweeter after harvest, and they can be stored for months without losing flavor or nutrition. That means one good harvest can feed you through the winter, saving money and trips to the grocery store. They're also an incredibly low-maintenance crop. Once planted, sweet potatoes thrive in hot, dry weather and don't need constant attention. They're perfect for busy gardeners or anyone who wants to grow a hearty, reliable food source with minimal fuss. And let's not forget how versatile they are in the kitchen. From crispy fries to creamy soups, roasted wedges to decadent pies, sweet potatoes can be used in so many delicious ways that you'll never run out of ideas for family meals. Growing them yourself means they're fresher, tastier, and completely chemical-free. Before we start planting, it's important to understand what makes sweet potatoes unique. First, they're not the same as regular potatoes, and they're definitely not yams. Sweet potatoes are actually part of the morning glory family, which explains their beautiful vines and flowers during the growing season. Unlike regular potatoes, which you grow from pieces of tuber, sweet potatoes are grown from slips, young sprouts that grow off a mature sweet potato root. This is what gives you those long trailing vines that eventually form those delicious edible tubers underground. Sweet potatoes love warmth. They need about 90 to 120 frost-free days to grow a full crop, which means they do best in late spring and summer when the soil has warmed up. They absolutely hate cold soil, so planting too early can stunt their growth or even kill your slips. Another great thing about sweet potatoes is that once they're established, they're very drought tolerant. They can handle heat and dry spells, which makes them an excellent choice for gardeners in hot or unpredictable climates. With a little planning, you can grow them almost anywhere, even in containers or small spaces. One of the first steps to a successful sweet potato harvest is choosing the right variety for your garden. Not all sweet potatoes are the same, and picking the one that suits your climate and taste preferences will make a big difference in your results. Beauregard is one of the most popular varieties for home gardeners because it produces big orange sweet roots and matures quickly, usually in about 90 days. Covington is another great choice, with a slightly drier texture, perfect for baking. If you want something unique, try garnet or jewel for a deep red skin and rich sweet flavor, or even purple sweet potatoes for a stunning color and extra antioxidants. It's also important to think about your growing season. If you have a shorter summer, look for quick maturing varieties that can be harvested before the first frost. If you have a long hot season, you can experiment with slower maturing varieties that produce larger roots. And don't be afraid to try more than one variety. Planting a mix can give you a longer harvest window, different flavors to enjoy, and a backup in case one variety doesn't thrive in your soil or weather conditions. If you want the most rewarding experience, try preparing your own sweet potato slips at home. It's easier than you might think, and it allows you to grow exactly the varieties you want without relying on what's available at the store. Start with a healthy, organic sweet potato. Slice it in half and place the cut side in a shallow dish of water, with half the potato submerged and half sticking out. You can use toothpicks to hold it in place if needed. Keep it in a warm, bright spot, and within a couple of weeks you'll notice green sprouts emerging from the top. Once those sprouts reach about 6 to 8 inches in length, carefully twist or cut them from the mother potato. These are your slips. Place them in a jar of water until roots begin to form, which usually takes just a few days. This step gives your slips a strong start before planting them in the garden. Don't forget to harden them off before transplanting. This means setting them outside for a few hours a day, gradually increasing their time outdoors over a week. Hardening off prevents transplant shock and helps them adjust to sun, wind, and outdoor temperatures. If you're short on time, you can always buy pre-grown slips from a trusted nursery, but growing your own can be a fun, cost-effective way to get started. Healthy soil is the secret to growing big, beautiful sweet potatoes. These roots need loose, well-draining soil to expand and develop properly. If your soil is too compacted or full of rocks, your harvest will come out small, twisted, or cracked. Start by choosing a sunny spot that gets at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day. Sweet potatoes thrive in heat, and they need plenty of sunshine to grow strong vines and plump roots. Next, loosen the soil at least 12 to 18 inches deep with a garden fork or tiller. This gives the roots plenty of room to grow downward without hitting hard layers of soil. Sweet potatoes prefer sandy or loamy soil with a slightly acidic pH, ideally between 5.8 and 6.5. If your soil is heavy clay, don't worry, you can still grow them successfully by creating raised beds or mounded rows about 8 to 12 inches high. This improves drainage, warms the soil faster in spring, and encourages straighter, bigger roots. Work in plenty of organic matter before planting. Compost, well-rotted manure, or leaf mold will help build soil structure, retain moisture, and provide slow-release nutrients for the entire season. Avoid adding too much nitrogen-rich fertilizer, because it will encourage lush vines at the expense of the roots you actually want to harvest. When setting up your rows or beds, space them about 3 feet apart if you have room, since vines will spread as they grow. Within the row, plan to place your slips about 12 to 18 inches apart. This spacing helps prevent overcrowding, which can lead to smaller tubers, and makes it easier to dig up your harvest later. Finally, consider covering the soil with a layer of mulch or black plastic sheeting a few weeks before planting. This traps heat, suppresses weeds, and helps the soil reach the warm temperature sweet potatoes need. Ideally around 70 Fahrenheit to get off to a strong start. Once your slips are rooted and your soil is prepared, it's time to plant. Wait until the danger of frost has completely passed and your soil temperature is at least 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Sweet potatoes are very sensitive to cold, so patience here pays off with healthier plants and a better harvest. To plant, dig a small hole or trench about 4 to 6 inches deep. Place each slip into the hole, burying the stem up to just below the top leaves. This encourages the buried stem to grow additional roots, which means more and bigger sweet potatoes later. Firm the soil gently around each slip and water them thoroughly right after planting. For the first 2 to 3 weeks, it's critical to keep the soil evenly moist. Your slips are still developing strong roots, so a consistent watering schedule helps them establish quickly. After that, you can reduce watering to about 1 inch per week, depending on rainfall. Too much water late in the season can actually cause the roots to split, so be mindful of overwatering as harvest time approaches. Mulching around the base of your plants is a smart move. A layer of straw, shredded leaves, or even grass clippings will help retain soil moisture, keep weeds under control, and protect the developing tubers from sunlight, which can turn them bitter. Sweet potatoes are vigorous growers, and soon their vines will spread and cover the soil, creating a natural living mulch that shades out most weeds. At this point, watering deeply once a week is usually enough. Just make sure the water soaks down to where the roots are forming. Once your sweet potato slips are established, most of the hard work is done, but a few simple habits will keep your plants thriving and maximize your harvest. First, resist the urge to fertilize heavily during the growing season. Too much nitrogen encourages lush green vines, but fewer and smaller roots. Instead, focus on giving your plants a balanced, slow-release fertilizer early on and let the vines do their work spreading and feeding the roots. Keep an eye on weeds during the first month. Young sweet potato plants can be easily crowded out, so hand weed carefully until the vines start to spread. Once the vines cover the ground, they act as a living mulch, suppressing weeds naturally and keeping the soil cool and moist. Now let's talk about pests. The most common troublemakers for sweet potatoes are wireworms, flea beetles, and sometimes deer or rabbits. To prevent wireworms, rotate your crops each year, and avoid planting sweet potatoes where you've recently grown corn or grasses. Flea beetles can leave tiny holes in leaves, but healthy plants usually outgrow the damage if needed. Use a natural neem spray or row covers early in the season. If deer or rabbits are a problem in your area, consider using fencing or netting to protect the vines. Losing leaves will slow down root development, so it's worth keeping the plants safe. Also watch for sweet potato weevils. If you live in a warm climate, destroy any infested plants immediately to prevent them from spreading. Finally, don't prune the vines too aggressively. Those vines are feeding the roots below, and cutting them back too much can lead to a smaller harvest. If they start taking over pathways, gently redirect them or trim lightly, but keep most of the foliage intact, so it can keep producing energy for the tubers. Harvesting sweet potatoes at the right time is the key to getting plump, sweet, and fully mature roots. Most varieties are ready about 9 to 120 days after planting, but the real clue is to watch your plants closely as the season progresses. When the leaves start turning yellow and the vines begin to die back, that's your signal that it's harvest time. Choose a warm, dry day for harvesting, because wet soil can make the roots muddy and prone to damage. Use a digging fork or a spade, and start loosening the soil about a foot away from the base of the plant to avoid stabbing the roots. Work your way around each plant carefully, gently lifting the soil until you can pull out the entire cluster of sweet potatoes. Be patient and handle the roots gently. Sweet potatoes bruise easily, and any cuts or scrapes will shorten their storage life. Shake off loose soil but don't wash them yet. Curing comes first, and you don't want excess moisture causing rot. If you have a large patch, harvest methodically row by row, and lay your freshly dug sweet potatoes in a single layer somewhere shaded while you finish the rest of the digging. Keeping them out of direct sun at this stage prevents the skins from getting sunburned. And here's a pro tip. If frost is coming and your plants still look healthy, harvest anyway. Even a light frost can damage the roots and shorten their storage life. It's always better to dig them a little early than risk losing your crop overnight. Curing is one of the most important and most overlooked steps in growing sweet potatoes. Freshly dug roots are starchy and not as sweet as you might expect. Curing transforms those starches into natural sugars, giving you that rich sweet flavor everyone loves. Right after harvest, gently brush off any clinging soil, and lay the sweet potatoes in a single layer somewhere warm, dark, and humid. The ideal curing conditions are around 80 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, with high humidity, about 85 to 90%. If you don't have a special curing room, don't worry. You can use a warm closet, a bathroom with a small space heater, or even cover them loosely with a damp towel to hold in moisture. Let them cure for 7 to 10 days. During this time, the skins toughen up, small scratches heal over, and the natural sweetness develops inside each root. Check them every couple of days and remove any that show signs of rot. After curing, move your sweet potatoes to long-term storage. The best place is a cool, dark, well-ventilated space, somewhere between 55 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. A basement, pantry, or insulated garage can work well. Avoid refrigerating them, because cold temperatures can actually ruin their texture and flavor. Properly cured and stored sweet potatoes can last for 6 to 8 months, meaning one good harvest can feed you all winter long. And here's the bonus, they actually get sweeter the longer they sit in storage, so don't be afraid to save some for those cozy midwinter meals. Even with the best care, sometimes sweet potatoes don't turn out exactly as planned. The good news is that most problems are easy to fix once you know what to look for. If your slips wilt shortly after planting, it's usually a sign of transplant shock, or too little water. Make sure the soil is consistently moist during the first few weeks, and give the plants some protection from strong sun or wind while they establish. Small or misshapen tubers are often caused by overcrowding or poor soil. Remember to give each plant at least 12 to 18 inches of space, and make sure your soil is loose and free of rocks. Raised beds or mounds can help prevent this issue, and encourage straighter, larger roots. Cracked tubers usually happen when the plants get too much water after a dry spell. Consistent, even watering throughout the growing season is key. Mulching helps maintain moisture levels and prevents sudden fluctuations that can stress the roots. If you notice pest damage such as holes in leaves or small tunnels in the roots, identify the culprit early. Flea beetles, wireworms, and weevils are common offenders. Natural remedies like neem oil, row covers, or crop rotation can solve most problems without harming your plants or the environment. Finally, if disease strikes, remove affected plants promptly to prevent it from spreading. Most sweet potato diseases are soil-borne, so practicing crop rotation each year will keep your soil healthy and your harvest strong. Remember, gardening is a learning process. Each season teaches you how to get better results next time. Growing your own sweet potatoes is not only rewarding, it's a way to enjoy fresh, nutritious, and incredibly versatile food straight from your garden. From planting slips to harvesting and curing, every step you take brings you closer to a bountiful, delicious crop you can be proud of. I hope this guide has inspired you to try sweet potatoes in your garden this season. Share your planting experience and harvest tips in the comments below. I love seeing how your gardens grow. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Golden Ears Garden, and turn on notifications so you never miss a tip for growing your own food. And stay tuned for our next video, where we'll explore more easy, rewarding crops you can grow at home to keep your kitchen full and your garden thriving all year long.